Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I am still on a break with the rust repairs on the BX. And today I got some spare parts that I want to install on this car. I have a plan on making this drivable so I can drive it out, turn it around, get it back in, because that would make it easier to work on the engine up here and the rust in the front end that I need to fix. I need to change the cam belt, for instance, and some minor other bits on the engine. It would be a lot nicer up here. I could start this car up now and drive it out and in, but there's no exhaust on it. And the hydraulic system is completely bled, at least at the spheres. That will just pump right back up. But I don't want it to pump up before I change the spheres, because I tested the rear spheres in a previous video. And the spheres arrived today, and it makes sense to put them on before I start the engine up and fill it with the fluid. So I'm gonna change the rear ones. I'm gonna test the front ones and change them also if needed. And then I will also change the rear brakes, the discs and the pads, and fit the exhaust. So yeah, let's get to work. Firstly, I wanted to go a little higher than this. I cracked this loose previously. I did that wrong though. You're supposed to have it under tension so that you don't twist and could damage the piping. I don't think anything happened, even though I did it wrong. But I think they are pretty easy to get off because I didn't tighten them very much. So there we go, it's off. So I did test this in a previous video, but I'm just gonna do it again. I was talking about getting the equipment to regas these, because you could put a valve up here and then put nitrogen in if the diagram inside of it is not torn. I would like to be able to do that, but it turned out to be too expensive to get the equipment, so I opted to just buy new spheres. But these could be regassed because they do have pressure. I think I measured them to 30 last time. It's showing 30 and it's supposed to be 40. Let's test the new spheres just to make sure that they are actually 40. Here we have the new sphere. It's a Furby one. It's the cheapest one that I could get, that I trust somewhat. At least the company normally makes good things. It seems to be produced right around a couple of months back, if I read this correct. Let's test if the pressure is correct. I'm expecting 40 bar. Oh, it's actually showing 50. I wonder if I got that wrong. It's supposed to be 50. I'm just going to check the specs for a BX. Yeah, it seems to be right. I was checking the brake editions. Those are supposed to be 40. The Berlin is supposed to be 50, 55-ish. It depends on where you look. So this seems to be just fine. And that also means that the old spheres were a lot worse than I actually thought, because they were 20 bars off almost. I'm gonna write the date on. You'll probably notice that this is not today, but I am a little bit ahead with the videos for once. So this video will probably come out in around 5 days or something like that from now. These comes with the new seals. I'm gonna loop them up using some LHM just to make sure that they go in without tearing or anything. There we go. I'm just gonna tighten it up with hands so I don't damage anything, like this. I'm gonna go ahead and test the other one before I fit it also, so I know that they are correct. And that's also 50. Like that. And then I want to go ahead and test the spheres at the front. By the way, I did relieve the pressure on this system a long time ago when I started to restore, when I started all the rust repairs. You can see that in the video. You shouldn't remove these without making sure that the pressure is under control. Otherwise it can be pretty dangerous. This one is off. Let's go ahead and test them. They look brand new. I cannot really see when they are from. I cannot really decipher that date, if it is a date. But they look brand new. But they are not new, I know that. Because this car's been off the road for a long time. But apparently they don't really break by just standing around. They get worn by being used, apparently. But let's see what the pressure reads on this one. Yeah, that's also 30. And that is supposed to be 55. So that's quite far off. Let's just for fun test the other one. So it might look nice and new, but they are not good. Well, they would work, of course. It would still give a good suspension, but it would be quite a lot harder than it was than what it meant to be. And also 30. It's surprising how even they all are. All of them were 30 bang on, pretty much. Here's the new sphere. And again, look at the date stamp. If this is actually the date stamp, I'm very lucky. 2503, 25, it's this year. So that's pretty nice. And that's supposed to be 55. Let's see. I'd say that's 60, even a little bit more. It's supposed to be 55, I think. So they might be a little bit softer than, but I'm not going to complain. Soft is nice. That's fine. I'm going to test the other one just to see if they are even. Yeah, it's the same. Slightly above 60. I'm going to install these. I think this is gonna make a big difference to the comfort on this one. It wasn't too bad before, but this will definitely be better. This engine bay could clean up so nice. And that's something I'd really like to do, actually. So that's all the suspension spheres done, but there is one more sphere. There is the accumulator sphere, which is the buffer for the entire system. This system is not under a lot of pressure because it's just hydraulic brakes and the suspension. There's nothing else than that, but still, if the accumulator sphere is bad, it will click and need to pressurize the system a lot. You will hear it click from time to time, the pump. That's all right. I think it's supposed to be 30 seconds between. I can't remember precisely. If it's faster, then it could be the accumulator sphere. It will actually steal some horsepower from the car if it has to pump. I'm not sure it will be a lot, but still, I'm going to remove that. It's right down here. And that's all there is on this BX. I'm going to change the spheres on my XM also. I think that got 7 spheres. So that's going to be a bit bigger of a task. And also a lot more expensive. Not something that I can afford at the moment, at least. This is the accumulator sphere. This one doesn't have a damper down there because it's just an accumulator. I can try to explain how these works in in a video in the future, but I have to learn it myself first. But let's just test the accumulator, see how much that got in it. I think it's supposed to be 62 bars of pressure, as far as I remember at least. And that is 40, so not far. So slightly more than all the other ones, but not 62. Let's just test the new accumulator sphere and see if it is actually 62. Well, that's almost 70. I wonder if this entire scale is maybe 5 or 10 off. The gauge, I mean. The arrow is a little bit bended, but that's the other direction. It just seems as though all the spheres are like 5, maybe 7 bars more than I was expecting. So it could be a little bit off. Anyway, it's a lot more than 40, that's for sure. So I'm going to install this one also. There we go. All the spheres are changed. And I'm really tempted to start up the car to see if everything works. But I need to fit an exhaust firstly. But before fitting the exhaust, I want to change the discs and the pads on this, because this is the last thing that I hopefully will have to do to the hydraulic system. I will have to take this apart to change the pads, so or the disc. So I will have to do that. I'm just going to crack these loose. There we go. That's off. There we go. Then I can clean up all this mess. And then protect the rear of this. A nicely degreased brake disc, ready to go. The bearing is nice. Then I need to get the old pad out so I can clean up the area and fit a new one. And I can get quite stuck. There we go. And hopefully the piston is not stuck. Nope, it's not. They don't tend to get stuck that often, these Citroen, at least in my experience. Someone might disagree, but they are normally not stuck, and that's nice. Just gonna press all the fluid out because it's nasty stuff, old stuff. And I need to make room for the new pads. Need to clean up this area. This is where it seals against the other side. A new seal would be nice, but I don't have any. And I'm just going to clean up where they sit. Surprisingly, the other pad came out quite easily. It's not stuck either. There's a can underneath for catching this, by the way. And then I can put it back together, back where it belongs. And then I'm going to take the pads and give them some of this on the back and on the sides where they rest, so it doesn't get stuck and become noisy. Slide the first one in. So when I get the engine running, I will need to open the bleed screw. Just going to make sure that it will. That works fine. Not too much force was needed. That's nice. The brakes are done. I also done the other side already. Yes, I didn't restore them completely. I haven't sandblasted and painted the calipers and so on. This car will be driving in the winter, most likely. So it won't really, the most important bit is that it works. I can fit this in the rubber over here. That was a bit of a struggle, but it's on. But before I can install the rear box, I need to do something about this. This is the piece that I cut out, an old repair. This was attached to it. I actually found the bill inside the car. This car is very well documented. This repair was made in 2011. Apparently, it cost 500 euros to fix. On the bill, it just states rust in the rear wheel arch, the exhaust hanger fell off, and the price is 3,000 Danish kroner before VAT. That is around 500 euros in total, maybe just 450, but still. Maybe they made more repairs that are just so well made that I can't see them. I doubt it though, because the quality of this repair is so poor. I'm not calling it, I do a lot of repairs just as poorly as this one, but this is, no, I actually do them better. I gotta say that because it's barely welded on. Yeah, that's a problem with having cars in Denmark. It's so expensive. But I need the hanger, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, clean it up, and try to remount it on the car. I'm going to cut a piece out of this also. It's very thick material, actually, chassis reinforcement for a 2CV. I'm going to cut a piece out of that to make a bracket. And then the plan is to just weld this piece onto the bracket I just made. So this will now be the new bracket. The holes are there because I want to spot weld this entire bracket onto the car. This will be a lot stronger than the repair they made in 11. This car was taken off the road in 16, so the repair wasn't really that long lasting. I hope I got the angle somewhat correct for the rubber. But I'm going to clean up this area so I can weld it on. So this is it. The bracket is in. Needs some paint. This will be a lot more solid than the previous repair, I think. That's nice. I think in solidarity with the previous owner that someone should donate 500 euros to Seaside Garage for this repair. Well, let's see if the exhaust actually fits still. But it looks all right. Okay, scratch that. Maybe just make it 400 euros, because if this should have been a 500 euros repair, I should probably have test fitted this, because I can already see that it's going to be not fitting all that great. The angle could definitely be better. Whoops! 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 And I think we're back to 500 euros. Thank you. It doesn't rattle. It doesn't rattle and hit on anything. I don't think so. I don't have the correct clamp for this, so it's just gotta be one of these. There we go. So with the exhaust fitted, the brakes fitted and all that, I need to get it on the floor. I need to put the wheels on. I will put the wheels and tires on. I was planning on bleeding the system, but then I remembered that this system, I think, and I'm not sure about this, but I think it takes some pressure from the rear spheres. At least it is weight dependent. There is a brake bias valve back here. So if there is no pressure on the rear axle, it won't send any brake force to the rear. So I need to apply some pressure to the axle. And if I'm correct about this, then the rear axle suspension system needs to be completely filled with fluid and bled before the system will work right. I'm not sure, but I think. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the wheels, and then I'm gonna put it on the floor and do some Citroen aerobics, I think it's called. Get the suspension high and low, just to get the system bled. And then I will bleed the brakes at a later stage when I do the front brakes also. That's what I'm gonna do. And now I'm gonna fit some wheels and tires. And that's very exciting because it's new tires, so that's always a good feeling. I'm gonna fit all four. And it's ready now to at least go down to the floor, and then we're gonna find out if the suspension works. And I connected the battery. Now I hope it will start on. And then I'm gonna put it in high, and hopefully the suspension will rise at some point. But let's see. Oh, something is happening straight away. Well, that's good news. Can I already remove the... Yeah. But I just want to put it into normal ride height. Yep, it's going down. Slowly going into low. Might hit the lift. Yeah. And then I'm just going to go into high. I think this would be wise to do a couple of times, but probably I just want to move it out. Up high. It's not moving completely smoothly in the rear, so it might need new bearings back there. Maybe just some more bleeding. It's all up. Gonna go down again. I can hear the air escaping back there. I'm just gonna go into normal ride height and check for leaks. No leaks at the rear. Yeah. The clever thing about the Citroen suspension, or one of the clever things, if you put luggage in the rear of the car, it will go down. and then it will return to the normal ride height like this. After a while, it will go ahead and push itself up to the normal ride height. I'm still just applying the same amount of pressure. If I let go, it will jump up, and then it will go back to the normal ride height again. Eventually. But yeah, it seems to be working. Pretty nice and soft. That's good. Anyway, this will be all for this video. I will drive it out of here, do some other work to another car, and then get this back in the front with the front first so I can do some engine work and the rust work up front. Also need to bleed the brakes and so on, but this is progress for sure. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.